in totality, if you look at food as well as services like grooming, walking, etc., this is close to $1.5 billion sitting today. The whole industry is banking on this 1.5 billion number moving to close to 10 billion. And the question is, it will happen in 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years. Doesn't matter, but it's going to happen.
Today, we have Varun Sadhna, who turned his love for pets into a 200 crore pet care brand. Supertails is built to be a one-stop solution to all your pet care needs, and we sit with Varun to understand how he's cracking this industry down. There are 3 core takeaways from this conversation. Number 1, pet premiumization insight. Second, the $1.5 billion pet care opportunity. And finally, understanding different categories in the pet care industry.
Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about your childhood. What were you like growing up?
I'm Varun. I am from Karnal in Haryana. Typical Indian story. Lower middle class, growing up. Everybody wants to do well. कभी IIT सुना नहीं था for the longest time. But suddenly किसी ने बोल दिया IIT भी एक जगह है, वहाँ जाना है. Interestingly selection हुआ, पहुँच नहीं पाए for some reason, whatever. And then this whole thesis, and this is back in 2005 when half the country was working for IT companies, and they used to say they used to come in truckloads and take people, right? Then the aim became कि यार यहाँ काम करना है, and then you have to go to on site. The aim was to get outside the country. Interestingly, never got a chance. 2007 did my first startup. This was in Bangalore, BTM. Didn't work out. Spent 9-10 months. Went for an MBA after that. Interestingly, met my co-founder there, Vineet. He was a senior at B School. From post-college, went to HUL for some time. This 2012, I shifted to Snapdeal. Did that for good 5.5 years. Learned a lot. From there, went to Licious. Vineet, my co-founder, was also with me. Met Aman, who's my third co-founder at Supertails. Licious was a very interesting problem statement, right? While there was demand, there was no supply. The way I talk about my progression is कि पहले एक platform बनाया जहाँ demand और supply exist करते थे. फिर एक platform बनाया जहाँ पे demand थी लेकिन supply नहीं थी. अब क्या बचता है? अब तीसरा platform बनाओगे जहाँ demand भी कम है, supply भी कम है, तो अब दोनों चीजें solve करनी है, right? So I think that's how you upgrade yourself, take up larger challenges. That's how pet care came, and that's what we're doing right now.
Tell us what Supertails does briefly.
So we are a pet care platform. The idea is to build a platform where when a consumer thinks about anything about the pet, they should basically come on Supertails, right? It is products, it is services, it's knowledge. It's just something as simple as मुझे क्या करना है. 2017 was the first time we thought that this problem needs to be solved. So Vineet and I started thinking, यार इसको solve करते हैं. When we were at Licious, our thesis became more clearer on pet care because, well, pet food is meat and we knew meat, right? And we said, यार meat तो समझ में आना शुरू हो गया. Factory बनाते हैं हम, Licious में भी बनाई थी तो हम चला भी सकते हैं. Can we build a brand around it? I think where we got stuck was, यार where will I sell this brand? You always require a platform which kind of enables the product to sell. Mamaearth required Nykaa and Amazon to sell. And a lot of these brands get built on specialized platforms. So the thought process was कि platform बनाते, it makes sense. But when we start thinking about a platform, we said, why limit yourself to just that? Let's go back and just figure out what's the core problem statement. And we felt the core problem statement, like I described, was that the consumer did not have knowledge and the consumer wanted to elevate to a pet parent. They just did not know how. What's the ultimate thing that can come out of Supertails? If tomorrow India can be more pet friendly nation, and if we can be part of it, we would be like over the moon. That's a very large mission.
Hi YT fam, I have a super exciting news for you today. We are launching Foundations by GrowthX, and this is free for our YT fam. Foundations are pillars for key problems that folks from product growth, marketing roles, and founders face on a daily basis. These are not blogs or quick hacks or ebooks. These are built by the learning experience team at GrowthX, along with experts from top product companies that go 2 levels deeper into a basic concept. Check it out with the link in the description.
Give us a category split. How much does food make? And how much does consultation make? And then the accessories.
We normally look at our business as almost 4 different segments, right? So one is food, then is our own food, and we look at non-food, and we look at healthcare as 4 large splits, right? So, at an overall level, when we look at it, food versus non-food is close to 60-40. The interesting part is out of that, our own products is close to double digits now. Right, so it's been one of our successes that we've had. Healthcare is a good 20%. We're inching towards that number.
Pet humanization has led to pet premiumization. In the sense of now more and more people are seeing pets as family members, not just like ek rakh liya hai. Talk us about that. What is happening in that? Is that a trend that you see? And how is it impacting the overall industry?
I'll tell you three things which is very interesting and very different for this category. One, the place of the pet shift. Pehle to dog tha. The second thing that happened was that functional dog kind of became a family member to becoming a kid. But उसके साथ दो और चीजें हुई. The first thing that happened was because suddenly it was not functional and it became a companion, the demographic of people who were keeping the pet changed. The biggest addition in the last 3-4 years has been the younger generation, 20 to 30-year-olds keeping the pet. And that also is like the largest TG that we have. Third, which very interesting thing that happened is from a tier 2 phenomenon, it's become a tier 1 phenomena. Apartmentalization of pets has happened. उसके साथ एक और phenomena हुआ. This is, a second order effect. When I decide that I need to keep a pet and I'll stay in an apartment, my species of pet changes. Cat becomes the more preferred species. Cats are easier to manage in an apartment for sure, right? Dogs require a little bit more responsibility. From like 5% cat penetration, we're currently at 15% cat penetration. But that if you look at an apartment, that number is very skewed. Yeah, it's close to like maybe 70-30. On our platform, cat's business is equal to the dog business.
Oh.
And this is a number which surprises anyone.
Yeah.
जैसे से और apartmentization होगा pet का, cats is the larger thesis that has happened across the globe.
So give me some numbers. How many number of pets in India? How many number of pet parents? The average amount of money they spend on a pet? And lastly, how much is this whole category worth?
India has 35 million pets. This includes every domesticated pet. Interestingly, only 10% of these pets today get packaged food. When we talk about this sector, what's relevant is pets who get packaged food or pets who visit the vet or anything which is directly attributable. खाना सबको मिल रहा है. Table scraps in a lot of cases, home cooked food in some cases. Even of this 10%, which is 3.5 million, more than 50% pets get a mixture of home cooked food and packaged food, right? So obviously the market becomes smaller. But the interesting part is that this number, which I just said 10%, in 2015 was not more than 2%. Before COVID, this was 4-5%. So what's really happening is the newer set of people who are coming into this industry. By the way, the sector is increasing by almost 15 to 18% every year. So 15 to 18% newer pets are coming, which means 3 million new pets get added. On top of it, 3 million are no longer there because the average life is 10 years. It means 6 million new pets get added every year. Interestingly, out of this, a larger portion, a much bigger portion gets introduced to packaged food. Why? Because like I said, demographically, younger people are coming. If I'm not cooking for myself, well, I will have to get packaged food. That's one of the reasons. But second, I also understand it's balanced food, right? Somebody's done a lot of research what needs to be given to the pet also. In terms of pets per household, so when they talk about 35 million pets, the average is 1.05. So practically you can think of not more than 32-33 million households. So not too many people have more than one pet also. So that is also the truth. On average spend for anybody who gives only packaged food, on an average I would say 5,000 to 6,000. And typically we talk about people who give packaged food, they also take care of the pet to the vet and vaccinations and medicines and maybe grooming and some of those things. So you average it out, 7,000 to 8,000 rupees a month is the average spend, which also means a lakh rupees a year. If you get 250,000 people, when you get even 40,000 from them, that's 1,000 crore business. In totality, if you look at food as well as services, healthcare, and secondary services like grooming, walking, etc., this is close to $1.5 billion sitting today. I'll just give an example of China. 2010, the market was $2 billion. 2020, the market is today currently is 40 billion. So 10 years, almost 17-18x. That's the kind of growth. And so wherever pet care has increased, it's always like this across the globe. Wherever pet care has increased, suddenly increased. The question is it the inflection time? I think fundamentally, a lot of us in the sector believe it is. I would love to believe it, but we're also seeing those inputs, right? The reason you have a pet is because your friends have a pet, right? You don't need any other reason. Pehle alag tha. Aaj, lekin because you have so many friends who have pets, am I missing something? Most of the things are like that, right? I buy a car because, my friends got a car. I get married because, all my friends are getting married. That FOMO works. And I think we have crossed that stage where, this conversation are so many more that people are going to keep more pets. The whole industry is banking on this 1.5 billion number moving to close to 10 billion. The question is, it will happen in 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years. Doesn't matter, but it's going to happen.
Lastly, what does the future look like for Supertails? And what is next for you?
Yeah, the future is very clear. The more consumers that we touch and we solve their problem for real is the core metric. And this is what we want to keep doing it for whatever years we're there, right? And I think that's what will give us excitement.